Today I'm going to be making some fire starters out of some dry lint I've been saving up, and I'm going to use some petroleum jelly and a candle. So this is just a little pot I got here to melt the candle in, and a heat source, and I got my knife there to cut up the candle. Now I've made these before, I haven't used the candle before when making them. I've only done them with petroleum jelly. They work excellent, great fire starters. Only one problem with them is that they're kind of messy, especially at camp when you have limited resources for cleaning up. I mean, I bring some camp soap and some bio wipes and stuff like that, but they tend to be really messy at camp. So my theory anyway is to make them with petroleum jelly and then coat them with the wax, so they're a little bit more easy to handle, and the cleanup is a lot easier. So I started out shaving the candle, and it was taking a little too long, so I decided to just kind of chop it up, trying to make it a little bit easier for the candle wax to melt. But I got the Msr Pocket Rocket there, and that thing is pretty awesome. So it actually heats up the candle wax pretty quickly. So got a little bit of shavings there. I kind of used half the candle, and looks pretty good. So I'll get started with rolling up the dryer lint. Definitely use gloves. I mean, this stuff is messy. So, like I said, I've made these before, and they've worked out pretty well. The last time I used them, actually, I think was on my Mount Lafayette camping trip a couple years back. So I haven't made them in a while, and I've just been using like either a Nesbit tablet or a wet fire cube. But I'm like, why am I buying these tablets just to burn them when I can make them? Basically it cost me I think it was $4 for the jar of petroleum jelly, and the dry lint was free except for maybe a couple of socks that maybe just got used up, and I only used half the can of jelly. So basically it was cost me like $2. So firing up the Msr Pocket Rocket, got to be one of my favorite backpacking stoves. Pretty simple, very effective, throws out a lot of heat, extremely reliable. The only time I don't prefer to use it is when it's really cold. But we've actually had some warm weather here in December, so this thing is working out great. And as you can tell, it melts the wax very quickly. Like I said, I started out kind of shaving the wax, and then I just started cutting into cubes. I probably could have just started off cutting in cubes without any problem at all, because the Msr Pocket Rocket made fast work of these candle pieces. So I had gone in the house and gotten some barbecue skewers, kind of like midway through this while the wax is melting, thinking that it would be a better idea to dip these things in. And as you can tell, not such a great idea. But I was persistent in thinking that this was going to work. So looking back at making these, I'm like, well, you know what? I probably should have just gone ahead and used my original idea, and that was to grab the can with the multi-tool when it was still hot and kind of pour them. Like I said, I made a mess with these little skewers here. It was actually quite frustrating. About halfway through making these, I used up just about all the candle wax. I was really surprised at how much wax these things absorb. So basically I just had to, I was going to go through and melt the rest of this candle. And as you can tell, I didn't really break up the pieces that much. I was just like, this thing will melt them pretty quickly. And the Pocket Rocket did. It melted them very quickly. So I'm re-dipping a couple of them here because they didn't get coated that well, because I was running out of wax, and that's why they basically stayed together, because they were already dipped. And I was very persistent in trying to use those skewers, but in the end I was just like, you know what, I should have just done this from the beginning. And if you guys want to replicate this, I would definitely recommend pouring the wax over them, because it was a lot easier. And I'm like, why was I continuing to try to do this with those skewers when pouring the wax is obviously much easier? But I don't know. I guess when I get something in my head, I just kind of stick with it. But this worked out much better. And in the future, what I'll actually do is I'll actually bend the can so it actually pours a little bit better. And there I go. I got made 9 of them out of the quart size Ziploc bag there, and just let them dry. What's going on, guys? Well, I'm hiking out to the woods here to do a burn test on the fire starters I made. And I was having a talk with actually my buddy yesterday, and he was talking about his son and wanted to go hiking with him. And I told him how I started my older son. Was actually just taking him out on day hikes and putting a little backpack on him, let him carry his own water and a snack so he kind of gets used to it. And I'm out with my youngest son. He's only 5 and he's doing the same thing. So I thought I'd share that with you. You know, like I said in my previous videos, I enjoy the outdoors, want my children to experience the same thing, and just don't want to kind of throw them out there. So just let them, go on the day hikes with you and let them carry their own packs so they get used to it, and the older they get, let them carry more and more. So I'm gonna find a little spot up here and do a little burn test and show you guys the results. Okay guys, gonna do a little burn test with my homemade fire starter, a Esbit tablet, and a wet fire. Now I know this isn't fair because obviously this is 2 to 3 times the size. That's not the point of it. The point is how much money this costs compared to buying a package of Esbit or buying a package of wet fire. Where basically I spent $2 to make these, and I'll list the prices down here because I don't know them offhand. I'm gonna time it too, see how long they burn. But I'm also using my phone to record, so kind of got to hold on to this. But I'll start the timer after I get these going here. So normally what I do is I'll break these a little bit, get them kind of spread out. But we'll get this going first because I know this will burn the longest. Let me get this spread out a little bit more. Actually, try this. Usually once you get the Esbit going, it's not a problem. There it goes. And we got the wet fire. So, start the timer, and we'll see how long they burn. Alright, just about 7 minutes, and the wet fire is basically all done. There's a small flame on there, but I would call it done. Alright, we're just about 12 minutes, and looks like the Esbit is fading out. Now, I've done a burn test before with Esbit tablets, and this is basically right on par. They last about 12 to 14 minutes. So, obviously the homemade fire cube there is going strong, and obviously my camera doesn't want to focus, so. Alrighty. just about 16.5 minutes, and my homemade fire cube is basically all done. I think the wind got to a little bit, but like I said, this test here wasn't really like a comparison test. It's just a test to show you that, you know, something you can make at home for a lot cheaper. It's going to last just as long as what you can buy in the store. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I got to clean up my mess here and get hiking on. All right, guys, just some quick final thoughts. Very interesting, the wet fire side by side with the Esbit tablet. Obviously, the Esbit tablet a little bit more difficult to light, and I've noticed that in the past. You know, I have a little Esbit tablet stove that I've used for backpacking, but it also burns a little bit longer. The wet fire, on the other hand, actually, you know, it lit pretty quick. And something I didn't realize, because most of the time when I use them, they're already, you know, tucked in the fire, and I just kind of light them. Also with the wet fire, the fireball is a little bit larger, so it's going to catch your kindling on fire that much more easier. But what I think is actually really beneficial is to go ahead and make your own. And the reason being is not just because, you know, it costs less money, but, you know, you get a larger fireball and it's going to last longer, so it gives you the opportunity to get that fire going that much easier. One thing I forgot to mention is why I make these, and although I haven't made them in a couple of years, the reason why I make these is because in the wintertime, even when you process wood, it's a little bit more difficult to get a fire going. So that's where I mainly use these. Summertime, it's pretty easy to get a fire going, kindling or, you know, just some birch bark, and you can get a fire going pretty quick. But wintertime, at least in my experience, has been, you know, slightly more difficult, even when you process the wood correctly, to get a fire going. So the whole reason why I'm making these is because I got a backpacking trip coming up. So I might have 2 backpacking trips coming up, which would be even better. But I should be going on an overnighter with a couple buddies, and I want to have, you know, an easy way to start a fire without not having to worry about it. So that's why I actually was making these. One thing, I was actually going over some of my footage before I even shot this video, and one thing I popped in my head too, an even better way to make them, is to actually get those little cupcake things. I don't know what you call them, but, you know, get those cupcake things and, you know, put the lint ball inside that and then pour the wax on. I think that would actually keep the wax, you know, more contained. So it was just an idea that kind of popped in my head. But if you guys have any ideas, or, you know, maybe even if you have a video on how you guys make, you know, your own little personal fire starters, go ahead and comment down below. Even, you know, put a link to, you know, a video down below. That'd be awesome. So, all right, guys. Like I said, I got a couple of backpack trips coming up, so definitely stay tuned. So go ahead and comment down below, like the video if you like it, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber, because this is what I do. I love to do backpacking videos and all kinds of stuff, you know, related to them. So, all right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.